Alright, welcome to a lesson on graphing by input-output table. We also call this graphing by XY chart. Now this video is probably going to be little bit lengthy because I will be switching colors various times, so sorry about that to start, but it happens. So this is our first venture into graphing lines. But first let's talk about domain and range. In math, we have what we call the domain, which we plug into our function, and it gives us our range of numbers. So whenever we're doing these XY charts, we're getting a domain, putting it into a function, and getting the range of numbers that we have. Now our domain is normally our x values, and our range will be our f of x or our y values. Now f of x and y are interchangeable. I can put f of x or I can put y, and it means the same thing. So our function is like a machine. So we take our domains over here and we plug them into our machine and we get something back out. So for this one it says f of x equals x plus 1. So anywhere there is an x, I'm going to plug in my x values and it gives me a y value. So you can see I plug in 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, I plug in 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, so on and so forth. Well, looks like I need to add some orange dots there. So we plug in 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. So that's what our domain and range is and how it works with our function. So let's actually put this into practice, into something that's similar to what you'll be doing for your practice problems. So our function is f of x equals x minus 2. Our domain is our x and our range is our y here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our x's. So we're going to start with x equals negative 2, and we're going to plug it into our function. So it's f of negative 2 equals. So anywhere there's an x, I'm going to plug in negative 2 in parentheses. So we have parentheses negative 2 minus 2. And negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. So under my y value here, I'm going to put negative 4. And I'm going to do the same thing for x equals negative 1. Replace all my negative 2's with a negative 1. Negative 1 minus 2, negative 3. X equals 0. So that replaces. So we get parentheses 0 minus 2. And 0 minus 2 is negative 2. X equals 1. F of 1. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And finally, x equals 2. F of 2. So we get parentheses 2 minus 2, and we get 0. And then we can take these and we can put them into our XY chart. So after we put them in our XY chart, we are going to graph them. So that's what's on the next slide, is graphing. Now you just did a lesson on graphing points, so what we're going to do now is we're going to graph all these points on the same graph and then connect them with a line. So here's our XY chart, down here's our function, and here's our graph. Now these are all lines, so you should be getting straight lines when you do this. If you don't get straight lines, then that means you might have graphed one of these wrong. Excuse me. Or it means that you messed up your chart, your graph, and maybe a little bit wonky. Like mine, I didn't get this perfect. So it may not be a perfectly straight line, but if it looks really close, you might have got it. So the first dot is negative 2, negative 4. So we go left 2, down 4. Next we have negative 1, negative 3. So we go negative 1, negative 3. Put our dot. Then we have 0, negative 2. So we don't go anywhere. We go down 2. Then we have 1. So we go right 1, down 1 for our negative 1. And then finally we have 2, 0. So we're going to go right 2, and we're not going to go up and down. And as you can see, we get ourselves a line. So let's draw a line through these. And then whenever you draw your lines, make sure that you are putting arrows at the end of your lines. I want arrows at the end, otherwise it's not a line. So there's our solution. The solution to this problem is the graph and the line. The solution is not this. It is not that. Okay? So now we're going to do a couple more, and we're just add a little twist to these. So we always want it to say y equals or f of x equals. Well, right now it doesn't say that. Right now it says negative 2x plus y equals negative 3. So we're going to have to move things around a little bit. So I'm going to take my negative 2x plus y equals negative 3, and I want to move this minus 2x. Well, to move a minus 2x, I need to add 2x. Now, I can't combine numbers and letters, so I'm just going to leave it off to the side. So I get y equals, I'm going to put my 2x in front, and then my minus 3 at the back. So this is the function that I'm going to be using whenever I plug in my domains, my x's. So we're going to start with x equals negative 2. So we get y equals 2 times negative 2 minus 3. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. Plug in x equals negative 1. So we get y equals 2 to the negative 1 minus 3. So that gives me negative 2 minus 3, which is negative 5. And just to speed things up, I'm going to pause the video and do all these real fast so we don't have to spend a lot of time talking through it. Okay, so here's the XY chart filled out, so you might want to go ahead and pause the video and fill this out. Ask questions if you're not sure where I got the numbers that I got. Alright, now we're going to graph it here on the XY plane. So we're going to start. We have negative 2, negative 7. So I go left 2, down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put my white dot. Next we're going to have a point at negative 1, negative 5. So here. And then we're going to have a point at 0, negative 3. One at 1, negative 1. And then one at 2, 1. Now as you can kind of see, my graph isn't very perfect, so my line's going to be perfectly straight, but it's going to be really close. So let me just fix that red dot, make it a little bigger. There we go. So now it's kind of going through it. So here's the solution to that. Okay, last example we're going to do. Now in this example we have our x and our number on the same side, and our y is on the left, but our y has a 2 with it, and we don't want a 2 with our y, so we need to get rid of that 2. So that's what we're going to do here. So we have 2y equals 6x plus 2. So we need to get rid of the 2y. Well, this is 2 times y. So in order to get rid of 2 times y, we have to divide by 2. So we're going to divide everything by 2. You can't just divide one thing by 2, you have to divide everything by 2. Which leaves us with a y equals 3x plus 1 as our function. So now I want you to pause the video and go ahead and use this function to fill out the XY chart. When you're done, play the video and I'll have it all filled out. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, so here's the XY chart all filled out. So go ahead and pause the video, check mine with yours. And here we have the graph. So again, I want you to pause the video, I want you to fill out the graph on your own, play it again, and then my answer will pop up so we can check. So go ahead and pause the video now. Alright, so here's that graph. So go ahead and check my graph with your graph. After you do that, this video is done.